Hello, Deborah with Preservation Publications and Preservation 2012 on YouTube. Because I believe that we will be living in a post-peak oil society here before too long, there are some things that we need to get our hands on and keep hold of to help protect ourselves and our future. These are all things that you purchase just in your everyday activities and things that you can utilize to make life a little bit more sustainable. The first are glass jars and their lids. Anytime you have the choice between purchasing an item in a glass jar or a plastic container, always go for the glass. Plastic is going to become a thing of the past soon. It'll be one of the first things that we see leaving our supermarket shelves. And glass can be reused over and over and over. For long-term storage, I'm sure that it will be a very lucrative bartering item in the future. And it will replace plastics. I would also suggest instead of buying things like plastic pitchers for water or drinks or something, or plastic containers instead of glass, when you can, buy the glass. Get glass containers. Now, another thing I think that we should be storing up on, which is basically an irritant to most people, are the plastic shopping bags that we get from our grocery stores. And I think those are going to be valuable for a couple of reasons. First of all, you can tote things in them. You can carry things in them. Second, you can create charity bags with them, put food and seed and so forth in them to handouts for people that are suffering. And third, they're an excellent insulator. Another thing that we should be stocking up on is paper. And it doesn't make any difference what the source is, but you need to save it. If you receive a newspaper every day, you need to save them. And you need to save all these things in ways that are not pack radish, but are clean and healthy and organized. Otherwise, we're going to be living in what people would call a pile of trash, when it's not trash at all. Another source of paper that we should all be saving are cardboard egg carriers and toilet paper rolls. And I'm going to tell you why. One of the things that we can do to support ourselves and carry us through that transition is to start seed indoors and transplant them later. Many of our crops don't like to be transplanted, however. Our root crops, for example, they don't do well with transplanting from inside to outside. But if you have toilet paper rolls, you can fill it with soil, put the seed inside according to the direct growing direction, and keep the entire thing contained in soil for transplant. This way the roots are not disturbed when you take them out, and because this breaks down, the cardboard breaks down, it won't inhibit the growth of the plants. Likewise, you can use egg cartons for the same reason. Just plant the seeds in the individual little containers here, and when it's time, cut them and just plant the whole thing in the ground. The roots will grow outside of this once it breaks down, and you can successfully transplant plants that are difficult. Of course, we all have to remember that when we do transplant to the outside, that we've got to harden off our plants and not just stick them in the ground once the weather gets fair and the soil warm. Let them hang out in their containers outside for a couple of days and give them the opportunity to adjust to the climate and then plant them. Now, another thing that I think that we should all be saving are empty cans. And this is for watering purposes and for creating homemade drip irrigation systems. Once the lid is removed and the paper removed, you can poke holes all around it and then set it in the ground next to your plants before the roots are set and established so as not to damage the root system. You can fill the cans with water, and they in turn will act as an irrigation system. That'll be most beneficial for those of us that are forced into growing our gardens in drought situations. I also think that we should all be saving all of our old, used sources of cloth. So old blankets, old sheets, old pillowcases, towels, clothing. We should be storing all of that in cardboard boxes someplace safe. And we should be removing the buttons, the zippers, the hooks and eyes, and the snaps on all of our used clothing and keeping that separate and apart from the cloth that so that it can be used for in the future. These things won't be available to us during or after the collapse, and I guarantee that we're going to need them. Just like we're going to need needles, thread, safety pins, and all kinds of notions, elastic, that we're going to need to be making clothes in the future. I think everybody should have bicycles. I think they're going to be the mode of transportation in the future. And this isn't just for you, they're for your kids as well. If your children are small, you need to get those seats, those child seats that fit onto the back of a bicycle, and or the carts for infants that you can pull behind a bicycle. And that can be used for a couple of different reasons, not only for toting your children, but for toting goods, because you can stack a lot of stuff in there. But I think the hardest thing that we're going to have to come up with will be tires. If there's any way that you can store tires, then I would suggest you do that. But I would also suggest that storing automobile tires and creating a mold for your particular size bicycle wheels might be another option. It would take learning a new skill, but it might be beneficial now and in the future as a new business in a bartering system. So think about that. Now, many of us have already put in our spring gardens and are enjoying the activity involved with that. And it may seem too soon, but it's not too soon to start planning for your fall garden. If you are not planning on harvesting seed from this season, then you need to purchase your family's supply of heirloom seed for the fall. And I hope all of you will be putting in fall gardens, especially in light of the news recently that America's not producing as much food as they thought. So this has been a pretty strange video. But I would just like to make one point. One person's trash will be another person's survival. Think about it. Until next time, for our families, our neighbors, our friends, and our communities, preservation.